Week 3 is in the books, and definitely not as many injuries as the last one, but for sure a few key injuries. What's going on, everybody? My name is Ryan Phillip Lamb, and welcome to the CANAM Fantasy Football Podcast. Today, I am joined by one of my favorite humans of all time, Aetan Hensby.
Hey, how's it going there, Ryan? Nice to see you. Just a little teaser before we get too far into the show. I might have made a bet, as everyone knows. I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, and the person that's hosting this is a diehard Seahawk fan. So
True.
We did a little bit of a bet, and at the end of this episode, you're going to get a little treat. You're going to get to watch me take a shot of hot sauce. And it's good hot sauce because there's a skull on the bottle. So I don't know how this is going to go for me, but I'm going to make sure to do it at the end of the show so that I can at least breathe and not drool too much after the fact. But stay tuned for that. That'll probably be fun for you guys to all watch.
That is worth the price of admission, which is a like and a subscribe. Tyler Ram is the other individual joining us today on the show. Tyler, how are you doing after you and I faced off in CANAM in the CANAM League?
Well, that is a very loaded question, as you know, because unfortunately, my championship squad is off to an 0-3 start after losing to Ryan's miraculous team this week.
So you lost this week?
Yeah, I did lose this week, unfortunately. Yeah.
I guess that means I won.
Yes, that's usually what happens when two people are playing each other. Somehow, I know Aetan was hoping we'd both lose, and in a way we did, but we both win since we both get to watch him try to take on that hot sauce. So, we're all winners in that way. In that sense,
we definitely are all winners for sure, and we'll definitely have to talk a little bit more about what happened this past week. A lot of action went on. We want to talk about one player in particular and a couple of our waiver pickups. But before we do that, funny thing, we're all talking in the chat, and just after the Seahawks beat the Cowboys this past Sunday, that happened too, by the way. The funniest thing happened when Tyler suddenly informed me, and keep in mind, Tyler is a diehard Rams fan, but he suddenly informed me that he thinks that the Seattle Seahawks are the best team in the NFC. Take it away, Tyler.
Well, I mean, you got to look at this offense and tremble in fear because, I mean, they're letting Russell cook, which is the term they use for they're actually letting him throw the ball instead of being a run-first offense. And now this guy's gone actually, Ryan, do you have the stats? How many touchdowns has he thrown this year?
14 touchdowns over the past 3 games,
14,
which is a record.
Yeah, and apparently if he keeps that pace up, he's going to be responsible for 75 touchdowns this season, which is just ridiculous. that'll beat the record by, I think, 20. But, I mean, that's an insane pace to keep. Obviously, none of us expect that to still go. But, I mean, with the way he's thrown the ball, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are both looking like they could be top 10 wide receivers by the end of the season. And this team is let's just say they're cooking. They're cooking, and right now they're the hottest team in the NFC. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny, Aetan. DK Metcalf, he actually could have had another score. I know you watched that game because you are a Cowboys fan. But yeah, DK Metcalf, right now Russell Wilson could have 15 touchdowns in 3 games. That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's rolling at an insane pace. This team, their offense is looking like one of the best, if not the best in the league. It's going to be at least the best in the NFC right now. It's going to be very, very exciting seeing this team go forward. There's obviously a little concern on the back end of the football there, but the way that they're able to stretch the field and Russell Wilson's ability to hit such an accurate window consistently is just quite staggering and remarkable. So this is a team to watch, and if you have either Lockett or Metcalf, I think it's pretty safe to say you're looking at a wide receiver 1 for both of them. this is a very, very good start and a very good team to have a piece of. And with unfortunate news of their running back going down, Chris Carson, there's going to be more opportunity for these guys in the air, I would assume.
Absolutely. And also with Miami on tap next week, that's going to be a pretty delicious matchup. But we'll go ahead and talk about that on the next episode when we're going to be talking about some waiver pickups. Why don't we go ahead and talk about Alvin Kamara and what an insane performance he had. Now, of course, unfortunately, the Saints, unfortunately for the Saints, they did lose. But Kamara went and rushed 6 times for 58 yards, which, that's pretty decent. He also caught 13 of 14 targets for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tyler, you happen to own Kamara in our league, and you still managed to lose, but you must have been really impressed with his performance.
Yeah, Ryan, I was very excited at the end of Sunday. I in the earlier games, you took a huge lead, and then Kamara went off, and I was like, okay, I have a chance. And then somehow my team managed to blow it on Monday night, which is fine. But you know what? The reason I'm not too worried about this loss is that I have Kamara going forward. And I think any Kamara owner should be very happy with their team. You're probably looking at a better record than I have right now. But moving forward, this guy is the top fantasy prospect or asset in all of fantasy football. If we were to redraft, like if you could take a time machine and go back, I don't think anybody would not pick Kamara first overall at this point.
Oh, it would have to be. Yeah.
Six touchdowns in 3 games. I mean, we talk about Russell's pace, but I mean, for an actual positional player who's getting 6 points for these touchdowns, that's hard to come by. And another thing is, like, just look at the way he's scoring these. Like that touchdown in the third quarter yesterday, he took it off a screen pass that should have been, a 5-yard first down, and he turned it into a 50-yard touchdown. He literally bounced off one of the Green Bay linebackers, who you would think alone the bounce back should stop his momentum so the rest of the team can catch him. Yet he still got back on his feet, got his momentum going forward, and took it to the house. Like, it was incredible to watch. And honestly, I don't see this hurting. Like, I don't see him slowing down. Like, obviously he's getting more targets because Michael Thomas is not there. But even with Thomas back in the lineup, that just makes their offense more potent. That gives more red zone looks to Kamara. So I don't see him slowing down at all this season. I'm pretty excited to be the Kamara owner.
Absolutely. I think that when Michael Thomas gets back, you're going to see Kamara maybe has a few less targets. But other than that, he is a locked and loaded, the RB1. And barring something unfortunate happening, he looks like he's the front runner for being the overall number 1 running back, and quite a value at the 5th or 6th pick, which was his average draft position, if I remember correctly. Now let's move on to some of our waiver pickups that we discussed last week, and Mike Davis managed to score against the Chargers. He rushed for 13 times for 46 yards and caught 8 out of 9 targets for 45 yards and a touchdown. So depending on how much fab money you spent, Aetan, he was a good pickup.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, he's basically being as efficient as Christian McCaffrey kind of was. I mean, 8 targets, 8 receptions is quite a lot. It was kind of one of those things where, he was walking into a position where you're like, can he fill the shoes of such an outstanding player? And through one game, I guess even last game, a couple quarters of it, he kind of has so far. So if you did spend money or you did spend a high waiver position to get this guy, it looks like it was a darn good move, because he's going to fill in just fine for the 4 or 5 weeks that CMC is out. I got to say, I'm quite impressed, and I definitely think he was a good move for sure.
Yeah, you're definitely not regretting picking him up. The week before, it did look kind of dicey with the fact that he only had 1 catch, but he certainly proved himself against the Chargers, which is a very stout run defense.
Sorry, let me just correct you there for just a quick sec. He had 1 rush.
Sure.
He had 8 catches.
1 rush.
He had 8 catches and 8 targets when he
I misread that. You're right.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, he's basically stepping into the same role. They're scheming him the same way that they schemed Christian McCaffrey, which is something none of us really knew if they were going to do that or if they were going to just simplify the game look and make it more just running between the tackles. But no, they're doing check downs and they're involving him in the passing game. And if you're in a PPR league or a half-point PPR league, that's what you want to see. You want to see the targets. He's going to put up Kamara type numbers if he's going to get 8 catches in a game. But that's a little bit of a stretch. He's not going to do that, but he's definitely good value.
Absolutely. I'll take a Christian McCaffrey light any day. Definitely over a Bud Light. That has nothing to do with anything. Let's go ahead and talk about some more people who have benefited from injuries. Allen Lazard with a huge game in week 3. He brought in 6 of 8 targets for 146 yards and a touchdown, winning against the Saints this past Sunday. So let's be honest, Tyler. If you picked up Lazard in any of your leagues, did you end up starting him?
Yes, I had him in one league where it's a 3 wide receiver league and it's fairly
nice.
12-person league. So yeah, I actually threw him in there when I had Julio on that team, and when he was out, I put him in my wide receiver 3 slot. And you know what? It paid off. I won that week, and I wouldn't have won if I put in like a limping Julio or if I went with a different player. So yeah, I'm pretty excited that Lazard was able to go off. Last week, Aetan and I spoke about how him and MBS, we weren't sure which of the two is going to be that filler, that person that's going to take over those targets from with Davante Adams coming out. And at the time, we weren't even sure if Davante Adams was going to miss the game. So Adams was ruled out, and Lazard did lead the team in targets. He didn't get the targets that Adams gets. Like, Adams is usually 10 plus targets a game.
Right.
Lazard, I believe, had 8 targets, which is still an impressive amount of targets for a very potent offense. And if you watch the game, you saw a lot of those were deep downfield, so deep ADOT targets. So that's something you want in fantasy for sure. If you saw one of the plays where he got tackled right before getting into the end zone, you'd see he's not the athlete that Davante Adams is. There's a reason this guy's not number 1 on their depth chart.
Yeah.
Don't be expecting the Davante Adams numbers, especially week to week. But I mean, with Adams out, he is looking like he took that number 2 role. And even when Adams comes back in there, he looks like somebody who you could maybe move into your flex, or like I said, in a deeper wide receiver league. He could be someone you could trust and hope to get that. Not even just worry about touchdowns, but you could probably get some volume with the amount of targets he's probably going to be looking. Rodgers has proven that, like Randy likes to say, he's on his revenge tour, and he's going to show the world that he's not washed up. So I mean, he's gonna be spreading the ball around. He's not just going to be laying down and like taking the foot off the gas. Rodgers is ready to go. He's going to be pushing for an MVP season, and Lazard is going to benefit from that for sure.
Moving right along with our waiver wire review, Jerick McKinnon was someone that we did mention, and he racked up 77 total yards before going down with a rib injury, rushed for 14 times for 38 yards and a touchdown, and hauled in 3 or 4 targets in the air for 39 yards, which was pretty impressive. But Aetan, if you're one of the people who picked up Jet, you must be kind of upset.
Well, I mean, I think he cracked his ribs in this game. I mean, he only did 1 play in the whole fourth quarter, and they took him out because of a rib injury. And, why not? They were winning 36-9. I mean, maybe not at that point in the fourth. I'd have to check the box score of what the score was before. But, this game was out of hand. It was out of control. Like, they'd already won it. So they weren't going to put him back out there when he had a rib injury. So far through the season, he's actually carved himself a pretty decent role on this offense. So if you do have him, I think it's great. And as long as he doesn't have the Chargers doctors there, I think he can get a injection in that rib and get back on the field if they need him. I mean, this is an injury that a lot of these players play through. I mean, I can't personally understand how they do it, but they're definitely stronger the men than I am. But I think he'll be suiting up, ready to go week 4. I wouldn't be worried about this cracked rib, but I definitely would be keeping an eye on it, making sure that he is in fact going to play. But if he suits up and goes, I think he'll be full steam. I think he'll go.
And one of the interesting things about Jet or Jerick McKinnon is that he has had no less than 12 points and half point per reception in each of his games. He has a consistent role. So, like you said, regardless of the status of Raheem Mostert or Tevin Coleman, more than likely Jerick McKinnon is going to have some run for sure. And then, of course, Jeff Wilson Jr. is someone we're going to be talking about in our next episode, which is our waiver wire preview for week 4. But before we move on to another episode, let's finish things off with our main topics. Darrell Henderson. Now, of course, he was the Rams' bell cow in week 3. The Rams did lose. Sorry there, Tyler. But he did rush for 20 times, 114 yards and a touchdown, caught one of his 3 targets for 6 yards. Really impressive showing. And this is a player who you picked up off of the waivers with Cam Akers with the rib injury. It was nice to see that at least now we have some clarity in the Rams' backfield.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a nice little dig, Ryan. So I lost to Ryan in fantasy, and then my actual team also lost this week. So it was a rough weekend for me. But you know what? Like I said, you could always see redeeming factors. And seeing Darrell Henderson emerge as like a viable, not only fantasy aspect, but just a great football player is great to see for a Rams fan or a fantasy owner of his. Cam Akers is not going to be away for long. Michael Brown is still lingering there. So is this going to be a 3-headed monster all year? I don't think so. I think it's going to come down. Malcolm Brown's usage is going further and further down since he had that blow-up game in week 1. He actually only had 7 carries this past game, and it only went for 19 yards. So really, he wasn't getting the usage that McVay's used to seeing out of his players. He did have Malcolm Brown, I'm talking about, had minor surgery on his finger this week, which could maybe explain why he wasn't as efficient this weekend. But you know what? I think this is Henderson's job now. So those of you that picked him up, you should still feel confident starting him, even when Akers gets back, because Akers is going to slowly get into the rotation. So it is something you want to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on his touches. But as for now, he is absolutely a starter. And keep in mind, he only had 1 catch this game, but the week before against the Eagles, he had some pretty deep receptions that one of them led to a touchdown. So he is a viable asset in the passing game as well. So so this guy is a valuable asset to have, and I'm not afraid to start him moving forward at this point.
Why don't we go ahead and, Tyler, do you have anything to wrap us up before we watch Aetan inflict punishment into his mouth?
Well, if you want to talk about inflicting punishment, I got to say, Giants fans, your team is a form of – it's kind of like drinking that hot sauce every week watching this team right now. So for those of you in fantasy, I think the Giants backfield, which we did recommend, has some potential players since Saquon's gone. I don't think that's the case anymore. Deion Lewis, Wayne Gallman, they did absolutely nothing. Devontae Freeman will probably be in there next week, but with the way the Giants are playing, I am not interested in the backfield at all. Stay away. Don't waste any money or FAB money on that, because that's not a situation you want to be a part of. The other quick mention I wanted to say is I was pretty big on Russell Gage last week. I did recommend him. I did start him in a couple of leagues and did get burned, but that was an injury, so keep that in mind. It is a concussion, which I think he's in the protocol right now, but right now it's looking like he's probably going to be active week 4. So keep an eye on Julio. If Julio is out, Russell Gage is a big, viable asset that should be able to get some targets. And that Atlanta offense, that whole team, I mean, you guys have seen what happened the last 3 weeks. Like they're trailing in games a lot. They're blowing leads. So Matt Ryan's throwing the ball all over the place. So Russell Gage is going to get those targets, and he's going to be a viable asset. Maybe you're afraid of starting him right now if Julio is playing, but I do think you should own him at least. So if he's available or if somebody drops him because he had a bad game, don't be afraid to pick him up if you have that spot on your bench.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Yeah, Russell Gage has been great this season. I've seen a bunch of him playing this year, and he's the way that offense is, despite the fact that somehow they're a factory of sadness and cannot get a win to save their butts. Russell Gage is definitely a bright spot on that offense for sure. Now, Aetan, do me a big favor. Could you hold up that skull one more time and say hello to the camera?
So there's the skull. It's a little more empty because it's now also in this nice shot glass here.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But,
I never thought that I would be able to say that I managed to win a bet and inflict punishment into someone's mouth.
There's a weird innuendo there, bud.
What? The moment you've all been waiting for. Aetan, why don't we go ahead and watch you shoot some hot sauce?
Yeah, all right. Well, I actually told my wife I was doing this, and her exact words were "Stop betting on the Cowboys." So I just want to also bring up the fact that I owe my father-in-law a case of beer because the Seahawks won as well, and he's a Seahawk fan. So the hits keep coming. It hasn't been the best of years for the Cowboys, but hopefully this right here will be the start of something good. I can purge all the negativity around this club, and we can start winning some football games. So, cheers, guys. Whew.
Good job, my friend. Good job.
There we go.
I'm proud of you.
Good job. Your eyes watered immediately.
Yeah. No, it definitely is pretty darn hot. I'm sweating.
Aetan, we're filming a Waiver Wire show right after this, right?
We're still got to film, right? Okay,
I got
cool.
some milk.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us. And hey, we're going to post the Waiver Wire episode right away. So go ahead, like and subscribe, and check out the next episode. For Aetan, Tyler, my name is Ryan. Thanks for joining us on the CANAM Fantasy Football Podcast. Join us in our drive for 500 subscribers, and you could win a signed Amari Cooper jersey. Are you new to the channel? Give us a like, subscribe, and click the notify bell. It helps a ton for a new channel like ours. We're going to have a random draw for a signed Amari Cooper jersey shipped anywhere in North America. So go ahead, click subscribe, and thank you for watching the CANAM Fantasy Football Podcast.